This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Satellite Book Club seminar series. Brian Gockel here, Office of Observations, and the title of our presentation today will be Enterprise Algorithms and New Products for the GOES 16, 17, and 18 ground system. Our presenter today is Dr. Linda Hembeck of the GOES-R program, Product and Algorithm Science Support, also known as the ProPass team, and I'll be facilitating today. Usual reminders before we get underway. This session is being recorded. We'll take Q&A after the presentation as we normally do. And we encourage you to post your questions in the chat and we'll field your questions from there. Please sign in with your full names if you're not already doing so. That helps us follow up with you later on if needed. Please also remember to check your spam folders if you are expecting but not receiving TowerS and Satellite Book Club emailers. We've found that some of our communications are going to spam folders. Always looking for future presenters. Contact the TowerS team, Kashad Bowman, Emily Maddox. Their contacts, TowerS team contacts are in the slide presentation today. Kashad Bowman, Emily Maddox can help set you up and facilitate the preparation of your materials and get you scheduled. And as usual, the training team can help create training materials that may be unavailable, or they can help you locate existing materials. Please contact Ross Van Til for information about that. Thanks, as always, to the TowerS team, to Kashad Bowman and Emily Maddox, as I mentioned, OCLO, the GOES-R program, JPSS, and all of you are participants. Before Linda gets underway, I'm just going to say a few words about her background. Dr. Linda Hembeck attended the University of Wuppertal and received her bachelor's degree in mathematics and physics, and then received her master's degree in applied physics in 2010. Linda started working with the GOES-R program at the very beginning of the pandemic back in April of 2020 as a member of the PASS team, Product and Algorithm Science Support, and she works directly on the ground system in the development environment to develop software installation packages. Linda, welcome to the Satellite Book Club. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Anybody can hear me, hopefully?
Coming through loud and clear.
Perfect. Yes, so my name is Linda Hembeck. I work for Science and Technology Corporation, and I'm a contractor to the GOES-R program, where GOES stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite. And this is a program that's a collaboration between NOAA and NASA. Today, I will just provide you a brief overview of the GOES satellites, followed by a rundown of the integration of enterprise algorithms and new products for the GOES 16, 17, and 18 ground system. The current constellation of the GOES satellites is the following. So data from GOES 16 and GOES 18 is being processed within the ground system. Operational, they are referred to as GOES West and GOES East, where GOES West lies at 137 degrees west and GOES East lies at 75.2 west. The GOES satellites provide continuous monitoring of severe weather, tracking of severe storms and hurricanes, and other meteorological phenomena. And these are not the only GOES satellites currently in orbit. There are also GOES 15 and GOES 14 that are in storage, as well as GOES 17, who was just moved to storage in early 2023 after being in operations for 4 years. GOES 16 is entering its 6th year as the operational GOES East. And like I said, GOES 18 is now GOES West and has replaced GOES 17 on January 4, 2023. As you can tell, the newest addition in orbit is GOES 18, and there are a total of 6 instruments on the GOES 18 satellite, just like all the other GOES-R satellites possess 6 instruments. So we have the SUVI, the solar UV imager, the AXIS, the extreme UV and X-ray irradiance sensor, as well as the GLM, which is the geostationary lightning mapper. GOES 18 has an in situ suit size, which totals 4 instruments actually, and an in situ magnetometer called GMAC. I'm highlighting the advanced baseline imager, ABI, because that is what I usually deal with. And on this slide, we see just some snippets of data. This is not calibrated data. This was one of the first data that came out of GOES 18. And on the upper left, you can see the ABI during checkout. And on the bottom left is GLM overlaying the ABI picture. In the center is Zuvi. Zuvi is Zuvi is very important for observers because it can observe solar eruptions at least 15 hours before the associated coronal mass ejection arrives at the Earth. So that allows forecasters to issue appropriate alerts for geomagnetic storms. And then we have SICE in the upper right. Like I said, it's 4 instruments, and these monitor proton, electron, and heavy ion fluxes in the magnetosphere. The information provided by SICE is critical for assessing the electrostatic discharge risk and radiation hazards to astronauts and satellites. At the bottom is GMAC. The geomagnetic field measurements are an important example to be aware of an onset of an electromagnetic storm. And on the bottom right is AXIS, which is able to detect solar flares that could interrupt communications and reduce navigational accuracy, affecting satellites, high-altitude airlines, and power grids on Earth. Like I said, this is just some snippets, kind of like getting scientists hungry for data from the GOES satellites. So what is different on GOES 18 compared to previous GOES satellites? For one, there is a new magnetometer on it. The GMAC replaced the METAMAC. The METAMAC had magnetic contamination on GOES 16, and on GOES 17, it just did not meet requirements. Ground testing and in orbit, we can see now that the GMAC has better precision, accuracy, and noise. And another update is that the ABI radiator is redesigned to mitigate the loop heat pipe anomaly that was affecting GOES 17. And here the vendor underwent a complete radiation redesign. They are now using a new coolant, ammonia, that is now that will decrease the future existence of this anomaly. So this change improves the data from the ABI. And the next slide, I'm actually showing a nice comparison when GOES 17 and GOES 18 were flying next to each other. This is showing the eruption of Mauna Loa in December. And as you can see on the left side is GOES 17, and you can see the loop heat pipe anomaly affecting the infrared channels. And on the right is GOES 18, where you do not see that problem anymore. So this change will be also on the new satellite, GOES U, which will be launched next spring. So hopefully we'll keep on getting good images from the ABI. Talking about the ABI, so a little bit more detail about how the algorithms were developed and So prior to 2010, the baseline algorithms were frozen, meaning any science enhancement was not included anything after 2010. This was done to support a stable baseline for launch of GOES satellites until they assumed the operational role as GOES East and GOES West. However, after a decade, it was time to update these algorithms. So in early 2019, the GOES Program Office funded an initiative to refresh the suite of ABI L2 algorithms. And these updates reflect a decade of science enhancements. And this was done by the Center of Satellite Applications and Research, Nestes STAR. The role that we are playing in PASS, so we are the Product and Algorithm Science Support Team. This is where I work, and we focus on updating the current algorithms to enterprise versions. An enterprise version means that these algorithms can now be used also on different sensors like VIIRS. And if you don't know, VIIRS is actually on a satellite is polar orbiting, while GEOS is geostationary. But this algorithm is designed to work with both sensors. We add new algorithms to improve and expand available products. We add new products, and we are supporting the GOSU transition to operations, which will include updating satellite-specific parameters. We also make patches for algorithms that are in operations. What does PASS do really? So we run the updated code that is developed by NOAA STAR and is provided to us by the Algorithm Scientific Software Integration and Systems Transition Team, ASSIST, in operations. And we work in the development environment, the DE, or offline in the algorithm workbench. And what we do there is when we receive an algorithm, we wrap the science algorithm within an algorithm shell. That is, the algorithm shell is an interface that interfaces with the operational environment, the OE, with the science algorithm. And the benefits of wrapping are that same algorithms used for offline science development are also used in operations. This facilitates defect resolution between science and operations developers, meaning we are minimizing the changes required to run the science algorithm in the OE. The DE and AWB allows upgrades and testing of algorithm updates without actually impacting operations. So we do all the wrapping on the DE first, and then it will be in the OE later on. And this supports also validation efforts for final operational software. And next I'll show a rather busy slide. You don't have to remember everything. However, this is the L2 algorithm precedence change from last winter. And on the right-hand corner, you see the legend with the color code. And if you look for the dark blue algorithms, those are currently algorithms that are already enterprise on the OE and being distributed to the NWS and anybody who subscribed to these products. There are some products that are still green. That means back last winter, these were not enterprise algorithms yet on the OE, but I will get to that in a little bit more detail later on. Here, I also want to point out that the letters mean these are actually necessary inputs for the algorithm to be running on the OE. And to just summarize it a little bit, I have actually written out the enterprise algorithms in the OE from last winter. These are 6 algorithms that were updated already and available. However, there's also intermediate products to CloudMask that are on the OE but not being distributed. In this case, it's Enterprise Opaque Cloud Height, Enterprise Solar Corrected Radiance and Emissivity, Enterprise Spatial Uniformity, and Enterprise Tropos Emissivity. I would like to highlight one particular algorithm, which is the Enterprise Fractional Snow Cover. It was promoted to the OE on December 9, 2022. The main reason I want to highlight it is because I actually did help wrapping it and getting it ready to be installed. So this slide here shows a figure from December 12, 2022. This is the fractional snow cover cap product, the way you would view it in AWIPS. And white here means less percentage of snow cover, and blue means a high percentage of snow cover. And this particular product is a daytime product. It relies on visual bands. And it is an enterprise product. That means in this case, it was an adaptation to the Weir snow fraction algorithm, and therefore it is designed to work on both polar and geo platforms. The data is quantitatively valid at solar zenith angles less than 67 and local zenith angles less than 55. Outside that domain, it is quantitatively, it should just be taken quantitatively. The nice thing that I think fractional snow cover can be used for now is if we look at channel 13 of the ABI shows usually cloud features. This is an image from December 2022, 2022. And if we now overlay this fractional snow cover data, we can actually see that it is not clouds what we're seeing in this region. So if you go back, this is shown on 13, you would think it's all clouds, but it's actually not. We are having a lot of snow that day on the ground, and it is cloud-free in this case. So I just think it's a very neat product to use for forecasters. And moving on to this very basic slide again. So like I said, this was last winter, and a lot happened since last winter for us. We were working hard to get more enterprise algorithms into the OE. And so the status for this summer is now that there's only a few baseline algorithms left for us to upgrade to enterprise algorithms. And like I said, this is a very busy figure, but it does show you nicely summarized how things are intercorrelated, and that's why I'm bringing it up a couple of times here. But a little bit for easier on the eyes, these are now the algorithms promoted to the OE since January. So this is cloud height, cloud optical microphysical properties, cloud cover layer, ice thickness and age, and ice motion. We also have an intermediate product to ECCL, which is the cloud base height. And next, I would like to highlight the cloud cover layer product. So this literally is like fresh off the press in a sense. We just promoted it to the OE this August, and is now available. And with that, I actually was approached by Lee Burley, who gave me some nice figures from AWIPS because they are using this product already and are trying to get it out there for everybody to use. So here's a nice picture of Tropical Storm Franklin. This is again showing channel 13. So this is just, cloud reflectance and other reflectance. If there would be snow, we would see probably more. However, this is the Atlantic. No snow here right now. We have cloud cover layer. So this is a product that has total cloud fraction. So here we see total cloud fraction of the tropical storm, and then the product delivers cover layers. So it's a layer. So we can see here the upmost layer from the clouds. It's 24,000 feet or higher. And then we have another layer at between 18 and 24,000 feet. And a layer between 10 and 18,000 feet. As you can see, it's really nice product to look at. And then this is what my figure that I really like is, so this is all the cloud layers color coded. So what I showed really individually, this is all consolidated. And this, like I said, will roll out from AWIPS coming this October. I think it's a great product for forecasters that are working with aviation models, but I'm sure that it can find some other usages as well. Sorry, my laptop is apparently updating. There's a few algorithms left that we are currently working on the DE. So there's radiation budget, aerosol optical depth, and aerosol detection product. These products will be available soon on the OE. I'm not 100% sure which one will come first or next. but whenever they are ready, they'll be promoted to the OE. Rainfall rate and precipitation will not be worked on the DE. It will actually be deployed through NCCF, which stands for NOAA Common Cloud Framework. And with that, I would like to just finish my talk and leave this slide up, which shows the science product validation status. The E denotes that it is an enterprise algorithm, and that is how I'm ready to take questions.
Okay, Linda, thank you very much for that talk. We're going to get underway with the questions in just a moment. But before we do, we want to, first of all, encourage questions from everyone on the call who has one, and in particularly for those field offices, regional headquarters, and other users. Please put your questions in the chat. Not seeing any yet. So the chat is open for questions. We're going to put a survey into the chat in a minute, and encouraging folks to leave feedback in that survey. And there it is, Emily. Thank you. Couple more announcements before we get to the Q&A. A week from today, on Thursday the 7th, Bill Line, physical scientist from NESDA STAR, will come talk to us about satellite fire weather techniques. So everyone is welcome and encouraged to come back. And again, I want to remind you to contact the Tower West team, Kashad and Emily, for questions about the SBC or for configuration of satellite products. And with that, I think we're going to turn to the questions. And why don't we start looking in the chat here? We have a question from Tim Schmidt. Tim asks, he thanks Linda for the talk. And he provides an update. F-15, GOES 15 is now EWS JAS-G2, part of the US Space Force, and it's over 129 East. So it's been floated around, drifted over to the other side to provide coverage there. Thanks for that update, Tim. And we have a question from Mike Jammer. The question is, does your algorithm wrapping effectively eliminate or significantly reduce the research to operations valley of death lag period? Can you comment on that, about how the algorithm wrapping maybe expedites the T2O process, Linda?
Well, internally, we are able to work in parallel on certain algorithms, in the sense that one person can work on an empty algorithm and wrap that, while the other one is already working on the configuration side of things. In general, I think yes, it has improved. I think there's also room for improvement, but it might not be a valley of death anymore in that sense. Maybe just kind of like a little sinkhole, but we're getting out of it.
Okay, and as I know you and some of your coworkers know on the pro team, the ProPass team, that we definitely encourage another activity that reduces that T2O time sometimes is if the Tower West team can have an early look at data. We collectively have gotten a lot better at kind of capturing the characteristics of a file that are needed in order for products to be digestible in AWEBs. And in the past, sometimes we would catch those differences way too late on our side because we didn't really have a careful look at it until too late in the development process. So we always encourage that when you've gotten a product to a sufficient state of maturity. In the case of the transition to the enterprise algorithms, though, I think the legacy products could provide a good indicator for that. Anyway, thanks for that response to Mike's question. We have also a question from Ian, and the question is about the block diagram of algorithms with a few lines, and I'm not sure we have a chart number on that. it is a chart of a product input-output dependencies. And Ian, I'm not sure which chart you're asking about. If you could give us a chart number on that in the chat, we'd appreciate it.
It might be this one, maybe.
Block diagram with algorithm flow lines. Yeah, that looks like it's probably it. Is that a chart of product input and output dependencies? Is Ian's question.
It certainly is input dependencies, though they have to be taken with a grain of salt. We haven't verified all of them that they're 100% accurate on this chart, because this is a chart we are updating regularly. So I haven't done like a second view on it to make sure that all the inputs are really the inputs that are still needed for each of the algorithms.
Okay, but it sounds like that is even if maybe one or two of these need updating, that in general that's what it's trying to show. And I'll give you an example that I think illustrates Ian's question. Thanks Ian for confirming we're looking at the right slide. In the upper right we have cloud base height that produces a product, and that product or the other algorithm outputs are needed by the cloud cover layers algorithm, right? That's what these arrows mean.
Yes, that's what it means.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I think that gets to Ian's question. Ian, thank you for your question. Let us know if we haven't fully answered it, but I will move on. And we have a comment from Mike thanking for the thanking for anything that can be done to expedite the R2O period. So let's see. Again, we welcome more questions. So you did have on a slide, Linda, some of the algorithm updates that are coming to the OE. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what the slide number on that. You had a slide that showed the next algorithms that are coming to the OE. Now, as some of as you know, Linda, we want to tell some of our users that when a product is placed by NESDIS in the operational environment, their OE, it generally does not automatically flow to AWeBs. There are other folks on the call, the TowerS team and others dialed in today who actually help with configurations and subscriptions and data flow, administrative approvals to get those data sets flowing downstream from, say, the NESDIS systems over to the weather service. And so it looks like here on slide 31 are some of the upcoming changes. Is that right?
Yes. So I know that EAOD and EADP are, on the short list for being on the OE next. I don't know which one will be there first.
Mm-hmm. And could you repeat why the rainfall rate is crossed out there? Because that is something we're evaluating right now. There's an enterprise geostationary rainfall rate. And why is that crossed out here?
That is going to be deployed through NCCF. So that is not going through the DE.
Okay, so Linda's referring
So
to the
NCCF,
NESDIS cloud.
yeah. Yes, it's like it stands for NOAA Common Cloud Framework.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Linda. And kind of building upon Mike's earlier question, what would you say is a typical turnaround time for an algorithm when you receive it, your team receives it, and the amount of time it takes for that algorithm to be delivered to the OE? What's an
Okay, so it depends what it is. Is it a new algorithm like an enterprise algorithm? Then the timeline is, months to years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's an update and it's like an urgent update, it can happen that we can, make changes to an algorithm within a day, and they're gonna be, also already updated in the OE within a day.
Okay.
I don't think we can do shorter than a day,
Yeah.
but like I said, it kind of depends on what it is. We have ADRs, which are algorithm design review, and depending on the urgency, we will, do things either faster or not so fast. And of course, if it's a whole algorithm, like an enterprise algorithm, as you saw in 2019 is when the whole enterprise algorithm came to be. it's not that long ago, so I'd say we're pretty fast for having so many enterprise
Okay.
algorithms already there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got another question. The question is, as who decided, as it's worded, is who decided what algorithm is being installed into operations? And so I'll couch that, or I'll fill out that question a little bit. I know the Weather Service, even long before the satellite's launch, there's a requirements process through which we request satellite products and things based on what capabilities and technologies are available. And then algorithms are developed, but then there's a lot of candidate algorithms. And so I guess the question gets at you as an implementation team. You've got a lot of things you could do. And from your perspective, who's deciding, the priorities for the algorithms and which ones get installed and promoted into the operational environment?
I mean, there's a whole process, but usually Tom Frioli is pretty much on top of that. That'd be a person to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd also say that there's like two different kind of processes that are, an algorithm has to go through. One is, the algorithm change management process is, just updating the algorithms that are there, but actually getting like a new algorithm into operations is, a process done by the Nestis SPSRB.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is a board review. And they are having monthly meetings and, to review if there's, somebody who wants to update something on the algorithm out there.
Right, right, yep. And so for listeners on the call, especially the Weather Service listeners, the Office of Observations has a rep, typically some combination of Jordan Girth, Jim Yo, or me, Brian Gockel, who will attend the SPSRB meeting and weigh in where there are questions related to Weather Service priorities and things like that, so that we do have a voice in the body and in the process that Linda is speaking to. And as we started out with, in fact, many of these products are in response to Weather Service needs and requirements. So, but wanted to have this discussion so folks on the call get a sense that, you're working off a needs and priorities lists in making these decisions, which is really important. Let's see, do we have any more questions? Here we go. Hopefully I didn't skip one, but I see one from Mike Jammer. Is IV&V, independent verification and validation, still used in your process?
I would need to refer that question to somebody who really knows about this, because,
Okay,
like I said,
I will.
I'm this little wheel who updates the algorithms because somebody tells me to usually.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll start by saying I know the Weather Service gets invited to the provisional and other validation reviews that the GOES-R program holds for its products. And then I said, so there's that process that most of these products, if not almost all of them, have gone through. And then in addition to that, maybe Mike's question is also related to, is there developmental verification and validation? And I should mention that there, for some products, is also a Weather Service side operational test and evaluation, where the OPPSD group, I think their new name is OS, and the upcoming Weather Service headquarters reorg, Benji Spencer's group, where they will solicit field feedback on the products and to make sure that the users are receiving the data and that they're displaying as expected and that they're useful in operations. So there's that. There's the PSPBRs that GOES-R program, JPSS program holds. There's the Weather Service side. And then Mike is asking, how independent is the IV&V? Well, yeah, I see elements of independence there. I can speak to that, but so there's definitely some dimension to that, and others on the call who may want to respond to Mike's question are welcome, in particular if I've overlooked any important IV and V activities.
I mean, what I can say is that I do see algorithms, coming across my desk where there is, science included from like universities and things like that. So I'm aware that there's, university looking at these products and, making sure that they're showing what they're supposed to show. That'd be my opinion, though.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, this is Jamie. In addition to what you mentioned about the Weather Service being involved in checking out the products as well, I just wanted to mention for those products like winds that are used and assimilated within the operational models, EMC plays a big role in checking out winds in that system before they're implemented. So that's just another example. So I think the Weather Service involvement in that process is really important.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. I completely overlooked the NWP modeling aspect of it, and indeed EMC is involved in that. Yep. Any other thoughts on the validation question? And if not, let me see, do we have any other questions in the chat? You're welcome to drop a question in. We still have a few minutes. And while we're waiting, I'll just say that we have some Weather Service folks on the line here, Office of OBS and AWIP's program, and Benji Spencer's group that I mentioned earlier, all participating on kind of catching these products that Linda and the pro team develops and promotes and validates and gets the algorithms running into operations. And we handle the Weather Service side of the receipt of the data and the broadcast through the networks and the AWIPS ingest, decode, and display. So we're actually, sometimes we're somewhat locked at the hip, or working hand in hand on most of these product implementations. So not seeing any more questions in the chat. I just want to Linda, thank you very much for this informative talk, and for you and all of your coworkers and the scientists behind you working on all of these algorithms and products, as well as the improvements, the enterprise algorithms being a big improvement over what was initially rolled out, the original baseline algorithms, which were good, but these are even better. So thanks for your work on that. The users appreciate the highest quality observational satellite retrievals and products that we can get, and they feed into a wide range of mission service areas. So it's very, very much appreciated. Thank you, Linda. And then with that, I lost my place, but I recall that Bill Line is giving a talk next week, which is a week from today, September 7th. Please come back for our next Satellite Book Club seminar series a week from today. Wanted to thank the Tower West team, GOES-R JPSS program, Linda again for your presentation, and all the participants. We'll wrap it up there, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.